It's 2023 and we're starting to see a lot more OLED gaming monitors come to market. Today, we're checking out the AOC AGON Pro AG276QZD. Now, I have been using basically the mini LED version of this monitor since February and really loved that one, but I feel like it's stepped up to a whole new ball game using this OLED here. With the same 1440p resolution and 240Hz refresh rate, the OLED version packs an identical price tag of $1,000. So let's dive in and take a closer look at the newest AGON Pro from AOC. Hey everybody, I'm Jordan with 9 to 5 Toys, and we will be having some upcoming monitor reviews, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss those in the future. So the big thing here, and what we really are going to spend most of our time talking about, is that this is an OLED gaming monitor. This is the first one that I've really spent a whole lot of time with, and it's been a very fun and a great experience so far. And first off, I'll throw up some specs here so you can kind of get an idea of what all to look for with this monitor while we talk about the design a little bit. This is a 1440p monitor, 240Hz refresh rate, and a crazy low 0.03 gray to gray response time. While Philips' new Evnia line focuses on a clean and elegant design, you can check out our review here in the corner, the AOC AGON Pro line is a little bit more gamery and asymmetric. On the front, a very thin bezel keeps the display looking really sleek and looks really sharp. But flipping the monitor around, on the back, the AGON Pro AG276QZD has sharp, jagged shapes that also contain customizable RGB lighting. Personally, with where I have this desk set up and how I have the monitor, I can't really see the RGB lighting, so I did not pay much attention to it. So while it can be a nice feature to have, it's not usually something that I really look for. One other thoughtful difference, though, in my opinion, is this what they're calling an esports stand. A lot of monitors we've reviewed recently, like that other AOC AGON Pro and one of the recents from Evnia, they kind of have the two legs that jut out here, which gives a very stable and symmetrical look, but it kind of gets in the way of a mouse and keyboard when you're gaming, or at least how I usually have it set up when I'm gaming. So they're calling this their esports stand because you can put a keyboard right up here next to the stand. You can get a mouse much closer as well. So you have more real estate on there for placing your mouse, for making those big, sweeps, and for getting your keyboard in an optimal position as well. The monitor does also support VESA mounting. That's how I had it set up over at my desk using the Monoprice heavy-duty monitor arm. With the included stand, though, it does tilt, pivot, and also rotate 90 degrees, so you can position it however you would like. So moving on to image quality, one of the best features of these OLED monitors is that they have a crazy fast response time, switching from light to dark colors. On this monitor in particular, it's 0.03 milliseconds, which that kind of sounds like splitting hairs compared to a 1 millisecond response time, but it actually makes a pretty huge difference. It means that the image that's being updated on here is near instant at that 240 Hertz, and so really what that translates to is no ghosting at all. Other panels like the AOC AGON Pro Mini LED that we tested, they have some different settings that you can kind of boost that will reduce a lot of that ghosting and smearing that we sometimes find in that style of panel, but that's just not really much of an issue with an OLED like this. Because it can change colors so quickly, there really isn't any ghosting, there's no smearing, it's an incredibly smooth picture. And so while, just looking at the monitor with your eyes, using the UFO test, there still is some inherent motion blur, just as how your eyes pick that up and perceive it. If we were to take a high-speed image of the UFO test with a camera, you could really see that it is a very clean picture. So in-game, that translates just to a lot more clarity and being able to track objects as they move. There's no muddiness as, objects are moving across your screen. So it really is an incredible gaming experience. And just the display in general, OLEDs always are able to get a lot darker, and we always call them super inky blacks, and that is the case with this monitor as well. But otherwise, it's kind of just hard to pinpoint exactly why, but it is such a treat to game on. I am totally on the OLED hype train now. Another huge benefit of these OLED panels is that viewing angles are incredible. We'll see if it shows up here on camera, but as you rotate it, up to 178 degrees, the color really doesn't start to change at all. It still retains a lot of its color accuracy throughout, really extreme angles, which is not the same when you're using like a VA panel like I've been used to with a lot of mini LEDs I've tested out recently. Now, the one downside to this OLED, at least as far as what I've found in my testing, is that calibration, or at least the calibration tools that I'm used to, don't really apply to OLED panels. Typically, I've been using the Datacolor Spider line, most recently the Spider X, to calibrate a lot of these displays. And while it can get it kind of close, there was always a little bit of a hue that was off. And so, going on to Datacolor's website and looking at the product listing, it says it straight up calls out these issues with OLED panels. So they cannot even, guarantee accuracy when trying to calibrate one of these OLED panels. I was able to get it pretty close when compared to another calibrated monitor, and then by using the wide LED setting on backlight for display technology within the Spider X app, and refining the white point on the final page and comparing that with my other calibrated monitor, I was able to get it close enough for what I needed. But if really accurate colors is very important in your workflow or daily life, then that is kind of one downside right now. There are ways to do it, I'm sure, with some other tools, but for me, the workflow that I have, unfortunately, is not working with this panel. And we'll also talk about brightness. On paper, this has a peak brightness of 1000 nits, but even so, it did not seem as bright as some of the most recent monitors that I've tested. Even the AOC AGON Pro, the mini LED version, with its local dimming and peak brightness, that seemed to get a little bit brighter, but then definitely with the Evnia, the 34M2C 7600MV that we reviewed, mini LED panel gets up to a crazy 1400 nits. It was bright enough that I could use it outside and it was totally fine. Now, that's not going to be the case with an OLED panel like this. They don't get as bright, but for most situations, unless you are outside or in a crazy bright room, I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. Personally, I prefer a little bit of a darker room. I usually have some windows open, but it's not directly beside my desk or behind it or anything like that, so it's never been that big of an issue to me. So at $1,000, it is an expensive monitor, and I wish there were some better, calibration tools, or I guess I wish that the calibration tool that I had worked for this OLED panel, but otherwise, using this has been so much fun. It's just been great when playing, Battlefield 2042, really fast-paced FPS titles, and it's also great when playing narrative titles as well. This does have HDR10, and with that mode enabled with those really deep blacks with the brightness and the sharpness of the display and smooth motion, it's just been incredible to use. I don't know that I can go back to a mini LED panel after using this. So if it's something that you're interested in picking up, I will put links down below in the description, as well as a link to the Evnia monitor we recently reviewed. And that'll do it for this review of the AOC AGON Pro AG276QZD. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below. And if you're looking for some other videos to watch, I'll link to our review of the Evnia Mini LED, as well as our most recent video. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up so others can find it easier, and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9 to 5 Toys.